streaming.
It takes sometimes a second here.
I don't know if I'm streaming.
On the call. Hey, Gregor.
You could
Good to see you. Karena's in the house, consortium member. So we're really excited, you guys, because we have Alan in the house.
Right,
Literally,
in the house.
literally here visiting Sedona.
Yes.
And we also have Nadi, who's a consortium member from Galactic Rose Geometry. And we have Sharon, who's a member, Exo member too. They're also in the house. So yeah, we're gonna break some bread after the session.
Are we breaking some bread?
Yeah, we'll break some bread. Okay, first we're gonna do, I'm gonna start the recording here. Okay, and we're gonna do, we do 60 seconds where we drop into the field.
So let's do that. Let's
tap
drop
into
the field.
bring in our higher to the party.
Seeing if it's coming on my
Is it?
channel. I have to. I don't know.
Well, Rob can check for us.
Oh,
After we do our drop in,
okay,
Rob can check and make
let's
sure
just see
we're
if we drop
going
it.
live.
Okay, great.
Okay, this is 60 seconds. We're gonna
Drop
close
in.
our eyes,
Okay.
tap into the field. Here we go.
Hey, Zenka, you didn't make me co, so I can't do that.
Recording in
Hi.
Okay.
Awesome.
Check. Just
Yeah.
grab me.
Yeah.
Let's see if I'm actually on.
Okay, so Alan's gonna check to make sure we are live.
Live on New
On New
Realities.
Realities. Yeah, tell us
Okay.
about New Realities while we're checking to see if we're live.
New Realities is my fascination with what exactly is all this. How do we perceive the world? Or we're so programmed. So what is the nature of reality, and how do we break out of the box and tap into something unknown, something out there, something new and impossible, let's say, you know? So the idea is to consider the impossible. That's what Lewis Carroll said. I'd like to think of 6 impossible things before breakfast. And we are live. Yes,
Cool.
we are live.
Awesome, you guys.
Okay,
Well,
we are live.
awesome. Welcome everyone to this session of the Exo Metaverse Hangout. We do this every second Friday, and also the fourth Friday. We're thinking about changing that to Thursdays. So again, I'm going to share a feedback form if you guys want to fill that out while you're listening tonight about which night you want to do it. We're about to set up a bunch of new speakers for the next session. We're really excited tonight to have Alan Steinfeld from New Realities. He's an author of this new book that just came out. We're talking about in the last couple of weeks at a really appropriate time in history.
That's what people say. It's perfect timing for it to come out in conjunction with this release by the government saying, yeah, there are UFOs. We have company. There's people out there that are part of this bigger reality, and we are just finding that out. And the government is hesitating to tell us that final piece. They're saying, did you see the reports? They say, well, it's not from Russia, it's not from China, it's not ours. It's not from any country we know, but they will not mention the A word. They will not say alien. They will, it's like jumping around it. We say, well, it's not from any place we know, but well, where is it from? They say, well, we just don't know. It's alien. Just say it. Come on, everyone say it. It's alien. Really, it's ET, it's extraterrestrial, it's beyond this world, just however you want to name it. It's not from here.
Yeah,
And otherwise, basically, we have companies, Zinka.
that's so great.
It
And we
is.
always probably have. So
We all probably have had company.
yeah, it's like what I call the repressed curiosity is finally being unlocked. And mom and dad, aka the government, are going to open up some of that curiosity. It's really cool, Alan. I've enjoyed knowing you. You're like a kid at heart. You're always so excited about stuff. And you've spent the last 30 years, like you said, investigating the impossible, investigating all these mysteries that are unfolding before us.
Mhm.
And I know that you spent the last week at the UFO mega conference.
Right, in Loveland.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's like the hardcore people, because I know,
It is hardcore there. It's a
in the
little
sense
intense.
that, Contact in the Desert was closed this year, as a physical event, but they
Yeah.
decided to go ahead. So it's really the diehard people that were like, we're going anyway,
Right,
breaking
exactly.
the ice for a physical event. So how was it?
Well, because they broke the ice, there wasn't much beyond the ice. It was kind of a
Yeah.
little empty, a little like, okay, where is everybody? Some people showed up, but they really didn't get the hardcore people there because it was this, just casual event that didn't really call for the people that were expected to come. So it was limited in its scope, which was too bad because there were some really strange, interesting people there. You know who was there? This guy, Richard Doty.
Yeah, you were mentioning him. Tell them
Doty,
about
I
what
don't-
this is fascinating.
Some people know Doty more than I know him, and I just had heard his name. He was working, if you know, like the inside Kit Green, Ron Pendolfi, what Grant Cameron calls the weird desk. I think he was CIA, whatever. He would go, and this is not anything he told me privately, although he did say it to me privately, but it wasn't like I shouldn't share this. He would work at Area 51 before Bob Lazar. He said he saw the aliens there, he saw the ships, but his job was, one of the jobs was to make people think there weren't UFOs out there. He was like reverse intel. And he sort of said he was sorry he did that. It was like, sort of like,
wow, remorse.
I think so. He seemed like a really nice guy, and it's like,
so let's be
but-
clear. So he was,
I think I
he
don't
knew
have
aliens existed, but his job was
Was to-
to post like, oh, you guys are crazy.
Yes.
This isn't
I
exist.
think so. I'm sure people know the Richard Doty story much better than I do, but just meeting him, I had heard his name for years. I should have looked deep. Grant knows everything. We should call Grant up and say, Grant, give us the background on Richard Doty. And he knows all those inside people. So I'll ask him next time. I'll come back and say, but Richard was saying, yeah, he wrote a book, a 500-page book, and he gave it to the government to kind of go through, and they crossed out 300 pages. They said, no, you can't tell this, this, and this.
Wow.
But he did say he would say it to me in an interview if I did with him. So I'm going to do an interview with Richard Doty and find out
Very cool.
the scoop on what he's not allowed to write, but he's allowed to say.
Yeah.
I hope that didn't get him in trouble right here. Anyway.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I know, that's something that all of us should be aware of. It's like, I kind of take everything for face value, but I know, like in Argentina, they'll actually pay the anti-protesters. So it'll look like people are against something when actually they're just collecting a paycheck. And I've seen that sometimes on YouTube where you're like, wait a minute, are these comments real, or is that just someone that's agitating because of,
they said they did that here. I don't think maybe they've done that here, but I don't think they're not as corrupt here. Maybe they are, of course, what do I know? But you don't know who to believe anymore. I do think that the government is about to break. They're about to crack. There's some infighting within the government. No, tell them, don't tell them. It's like your parents. Should we tell them about sex or not? It's like, yeah, don't tell them. Okay, let's tell them. It's like they're treating us like we're children. No, you're not. You can't. No, you're too young. You're too immature. We are more in touch with the phenomena than anybody inside government who's just looking at the nuts and bolts, because what we're seeing is this is about consciousness. This is not about things in the sky. This is about how we interface with an intelligence that is an aspect of the greater consciousness, which we are. We're not separate from the cosmos, which is sort of what my book is about. We are connected to everything. We are of the cosmos. We're not freaks of nature. Well, maybe we are, but human beings aren't. They're not anomalies. There's life everywhere. There's intelligent life everywhere, and they are visiting us now for sure. These things that they're seeing in the sky, we have company, you know, let's get the house ready. So it's like that. We are. Let's clean things up a little bit because we don't want to look embarrassed in front of our neighbors. You know, this is what Elizondo said in one interview. He said, what we thought were monsters may be our neighbors. So let's clean up our house because they expect that, because that is actually what they want us to do. You know, there's a lot of nuclear activity. The nuclear activity has attracted the UFOs. Like, this is the latest book by Jacques Vallée, Trinity, where they're saying the early test bomb sites attracted these ships, and they don't want us playing with things we don't know how to work, because I think, and other people have said this, I don't know any scientific theory, but nuclear weapons rip a hole in time and space, and that's very upsetting for the rest of the local galaxy or universe. It's like, you know, we may be this little blue dot, but when we blow up a atomic weapon and it's like having a little splinter in your pinky, and it upsets your whole body because it's very irritating. We are that splinter, Zinka. We have to really, I'm serious. That's really what we are. And we have to stop playing with these toys that we don't know how to operate. It's like your parents say, "Oh, poke your eye." You know, it's like, stop playing with the toys that we don't know its ramifications or anything that we're developing, because we don't have the intelligence or even the desire for the intelligence. Oh, let's make this. Let's throw this together, and oh, boom, isn't that nice? A big explosion. This is not what intelligent beings do. And plus, you don't drop that on other countries. Like, you know, the US is the only country to drop a atomic bomb on other human beings, which was awful.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for us to grow up. That is why Making Contact is here, because it's a little commercial. No, because Making Contact is not just them making contact. We're the ones that have to reach beyond ourselves to make contact. We're making it's a two-way street, making contact. It's like they're reaching down, but they're not landing on the White House lawn, as the cliche says, because they don't want to shock us. They're coming and going, and they're in and out of our airspace. And it's like Schopenhauer. I use this analogy. You know who Schopenhauer, Arthur Schopenhauer?
Yeah.
You know his like great, he said many great things, but you know his big one about truth?
What does he say?
He said truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's denied, then it's ridiculed, and then it's taken as self-evident. We are coming out of the ridicule phase into the self-evident phase, but we have to push. And this is what Mark Sims is doing, you know, Mark, and Danny Sheehan, who was at the conference, for a people's movement. It's like a grassroots movement to get the truth out. We can't depend on government to tell us the truth. Because first of all, the big hesitation is they don't even know what the truth is. They don't know who these beings are, why they're here, their technology. They don't know. The experiencers know more than the ones that are supposed to be in charge. So, you know, making contact is an inside job, and it's inside for all of us to drop into a place in ourselves and realize that our consciousness is part of the greater cosmos. We are not separate. We are actually ETs. This gets us to our hybrid question, but we'll do that. No, we as human beings are so different than all the other animals here. Look, we have these things, these toys, these computers. I mean, I think human consciousness is really alien. It's not of the earth. It's of a bigger reality. And that's what we have to start making contact with, that part of ourselves, because we are from elsewhere. This is what the Aborigines told me, and that's what they've said to other people, that, you know, the dream time is when you really can travel to those other realms, and then you bring the knowledge back here. So we have to face the fact that we are the extraterrestrials, and what's coming for us is just another part of ourselves. It's like, my favorite line by John Mack. You know who John Mack was?
Yeah.
The Harvard
guy,
psychiatrist. Actually has a chapter in my book.
Cool. Cool.
But he says UFOs are like an outreach program from the cosmos for the consciously impaired. That's us. We are the consciously impaired. So they're waking us up to what consciousness is like. So it's not so much what's out there. It's great, but what's in here?
Yeah.
What's our potential?
Yeah.
Who are we?
Yeah.
What can we do? And we can do incredible things with our minds if we knew how to operate the software.
Right.
We have this great hardware, but we haven't picked all the programs that we have a program for non-local consciousness. It's called remote viewing. Actually, that's what I teach sometimes. We just have to know how to access that program so it could come online. And part of accessing that program is that you can't run the personality program and run the RV program at the same time. The personality overrides the RV software.
Wow.
Or mental, where the metaverse, what are the meta consciousness software, because you have to get out of the way in order to become empty, because it's not about doing something, it's receiving. So we have two parts of our brain. We have the sending and the receiving. The sending is a personality, it's always putting out there, it's the monkey mind, it's the left brain, it's like doing. And the right brain is sitting back, it's intuition, it's letting creativity come. If someone gives you a target in remote viewing, you just let it come, but you have to get out of the way. The personality.
Interesting.
And why is that interesting?
Well, because it's a very tricky thing to do remote viewing.
It's not that tricky.
It's not that tricky.
No, it really isn't.
Yeah, it's dissolving yourself.
Your ego identification. Yeah. But that's not you. That's not yourself.
Right. Anyway, right?
Yeah,
this
right.
is like one bleed in our lives.
That is not yourself. Right. It's like my favorite joke from the New Yorker magazine. There's this guy yelling at a bartender. He's a little drunk. He's sitting at the bar and he says, "Hey, pal, you have no idea who I think I am." So that's like all of us. We have this history, we have these personalities, we have this life, but that is not who we are. And you find that out in remote viewing, because that will interfere with the target. But if you forgot that whatever your name is, whatever your history is, if you just were empty and then something and just focused on a target somewhere, it would come to you. It really would come to you.
Yeah.
And so that's the interesting part.
So what are the implications of remote viewing? Like if you can be anywhere in any time frame or any location, what does that imply? It
implies there are no secrets, really. No, really, it does. You cannot hide. Everything is known. You can know everything about anything, anytime, if you would just disappear, just get out, move aside there. Really, because the implication is consciousness is non-local. It's not in your brain consciousness. It's being received by the brain. Like, you're listening to the radio, the announcer is not inside the radio. You can open up, you will not find the announcer. Right. There's nothing. Right. So it's receiving the signal. We're receiving the signal. This is Bruce Lipton says this, of this greater being of consciousness that is identified with you. It's like your phone can crack, and not work, but it doesn't mean you stop receiving phone calls. You still get the signal. You just have to pick up a new receiver and get those calls. So it's like that. Yeah. This is non-local. You can get your number anywhere from anything. Yeah. Our minds are even more incredible, whatever you want to call consciousness that is identified with self. We are non-local. We are beyond time and space, past, present, and future. We are infinite, but we have to be shut down into this little personality and told to behave, and sit behind that desk and don't talk back. And we totally disconnect from this this right brain awareness. It's like, and we think all we have is a computer without an internet. So all you think you get on your computer is something you've been programmed in there. Suddenly someone comes along and says, no, I can get stuff that hasn't been programmed on my computer. You think they're crazy. So
Yeah.
we are connected. And I think it comes through this non-aspect of the person or the non-personality comes through. So the implications are huge. And this should be taught in schools.
Yeah.
In elementary schools, and actually Carolyn Corey is doing that. She's teaching children to read behind blindfolds. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
There's so much
Extra ocular vision. Yeah, I researched that a lot. It's fascinating.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because they say it needs to be taught before you're 6 years old, because otherwise your brain believes it's impossible. It's such a powerful thing, right? Our brains are so powerful that once you're like, no, that's not possible.
That's what the Jesuits used to say. I'm just looking at the chat here.
Yeah, so if you guys are in the New Realities YouTube and you want to come into the Zoom,
You sure you want to tell people that? Because I got some real trolls.
Yeah, we
want
do.
the trolls?
Yeah, well,
all right,
we'll show them some love, bring them in.
All right, they can be pretty awful. All right.
Well, yeah, so we're
try not to be awful.
If you go to Exo or bit.ly/exo second Fridays, you can get into the Zoom room there. We're going to have breakout sessions soon for everyone to be talking. We have 10 more minutes before we do that. I want to talk a little bit about one of the themes that we're going to touch heavily on tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about the conference. We're going to talk about your contact experiences and what have led you on this 30-year career
of
bringing people together in these incredible rooms.
You can put it in the chat. I'll put it in there. We'll say it again.
It's yeah, well, we'll do that.
Okay, we'll do that. Go ahead, finish your question.
Okay, well, so yeah, let me share the screen right now. Because I want to show a little bit of our survey. So
good.
This was an interesting thing.
Who takes your surveys?
So we had 40 people take the survey.
Okay.
And these questions that you posed were really interesting. They were really controversial, really kind of interesting. So what makes humans different than other animals? So a lot of people believe that we have been that some of our DNA has been manipulated by ETs, right?
I mean, this is not the general public you're talking to, though.
Right,
that's the problem with these surveys. I mean, it's not a problem. It's just this is a kind of specialized audience, which is okay. But
that's pretty interesting still. And these will grow.
Yeah,
right. So humans are different because a change or mutation, a great spark of evolution, or humans are not different than animals.
It's kind of all even except for the genetically.
Right.
I'm interested in the part that people say humans are not different than animals.
I said that.
You said that. I mean, it's true, but it's also not true.
But how do we know? Because it's like I think that an owl or like a dolphin might be just as smart as I am.
They might be, but they don't make all this stuff except nests.
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't make us smarter, but it makes us different, right?
Does it? We're 99% the same as chimpanzees.
I know, but there's maybe
they're more intelligent than us. Like a dog can sense.
Well, it doesn't make them intelligent. They just make them more aware. Dolphins are more intelligent. If you ever look at a dolphin's brain next to a human brain, there's much more to a dolphin's brain. And dolphins never sleep. They sleep only on one side of their brain at a time. Because John Lilly, who I work for, used to anesthetize. They used to anesthetize dolphins, and they would drown. So they sleep on one side and the other. And do you know the other thing about dolphins is that they make 4 sounds at once. We're only making 1 sound at a time. So they're able to sonar, and they're able to click with their throat, make sounds with their nostrils, do things with their tongues. They can do 4 sounds at a time. And we are very stuck to one sound after another.
Right.
It makes us very linear, and that makes them much more multidimensional and fractal in a way.
Yeah, I mean, they know exactly what's going on with the Earth and its electromagnetic fields. That's how they do the sonar. I mean, so it's different. It's other different.
I think they're smarter. Dolphin means brother. Delphi, dolphin.
No.
It means brother. It comes from the Greek
Nadi
word
wants us to say whale because whales are super smart. But
whales are incredible. Have you ever hung out with a whale? That is quite amazing. Okay.
So we had this do here. Why don't you go through this a little bit? So
do you consider yourself a hybrid? 54% said yes, and 49.9% said no. That's interesting. So I think, we're just seeing a trend. I think if this was asked probably 20 years ago, we'd probably get 90% saying, no, what is a hybrid? So the kind of terminology has entered our language. It's more kind of advanced cultural understanding of this.
So
Okay.
I posted the Zoom. So,
Okay.
okay, so this is really interesting. So how would you define a hybrid? And I looked over the results on that. Let me see if I can find those
Because
here.
I also want to go into history. What is
this
that?
This is great, you guys.
What is that?
This is awesome. This is the number. There's 117 events for June 12th. ET Let's Talk. These are all people getting together to look at the sky.
Who was ET Let's Talk? Who are they?
This is Costa. This is Costa's
Oh,
amazing
Costa.
group. He has
Oh.
20,000 people that get together every month and they report on here, and you can click on here.
What is that?
And
What
you
is
can
that
find,
link?
look, this is his contact information.
What is the link to get to this map? This is incredible.
I'll find it for you guys. I'll post it up in the
Because
thing.
isn't up there? Yeah.
But so basically, you can, if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, for example, you can email this guy and go hang with them and look in the skies
So
together.
there are groups out everywhere.
over.
Oh, where's this one? Can you click? Because I'm going back
you're
there.
from
Oh,
New York.
Newport, Rhode Island. Okay.
Yeah. So this
Maybe
guy's
can I
having-
start one myself?
Yeah, anybody can say, they can, so every month we publish this map for ET Let's
Does
Talk.
Mark Sims know about this? Because
Yeah,
he
we're
should
gonna
connect into this. Because
yeah.
next year we're doing a big festival here. May the 4th
That's
be with
cool.
you.
Yeah, so one of the things, by the way, we're catching up on this, what happens at the conference.
Yes,
And,
let's catch up.
Mark is so funny because he's like, Senka, we're gonna do we're gonna create diplomats, right? Between races, right? And have everyday people become these diplomats, right? These extraterrestrial
Yes,
diplomats.
because they've had contact.
We can handle this, right? Like, we got this.
They know more than anyone inside the government who's just looking at hardware and saying, well, can we use this stuff to make weapons? This is not why they're here. This is not. It's not to make more toys for military people to play with. This is not the purpose. This is for our evolution. This is why they're here. So we need citizen diplomats.
Yeah, we do. It's so great
to take it to the public and realize that there's more.
So this was how we defined hybrid, for example. So most people answered it's a mixture of human and ET genes.
Right.
Some are talking about being genetically altered, but the thing is that okay, there's a couple theories, right? That ETs genetically, have supported us in our genetics, right?
This is what.
Wait, hold on, let me lay down a couple tracks here, because when you guys go into the breakout, this is gonna be the discussion tonight. Is where you land on this. So one option is, they came, and some people are even saying that, some people say it's way ancient, right? The Anunnakis and all that stuff.
Right.
Then there's another theory that says that they're actually creating a new light body right now that will be transdimensional. So that if well, a lot of people are saying that if you can make it right now, that's why we want to help everyone right now get to their light body, right? So that get fully activated, because if you die with it fully activated, then you'll be able to have something.
Or you don't have to die, actually, if it's fully activated.
Well, you never die.
No, your body doesn't have to die because it becomes light essence. This is what ascension is.
Right.
This is what the masters have done,
and you never die anyway, because
no, but the body doesn't have to die, I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Because the body can emit the biophotonic electrical currents of that higher dimensional essence. So the body translates. I'm not saying that's easy. I'm just saying the body translates into a higher dimensional vehicle.
Yeah.
It's what happened to JJ. JJ left the planet with his body.
Right.
He actually ascended.
Right.
And then came back to tell us what that was all about.
And some people say that too. Adrian says that some people that he sees in the ships have their light body, human light body, and some have their Arcturian body or whatever. So
we can do that. We can act. Every cell has a biophotonic potential. It means it can emit light.
Right.
I mean, you could emit light from your eyes when you're really present. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Almost got it. Yes. When you're really present, you boom, light comes out of the eyes. It really does. That's
Right.
like the sign. Like, so we are like, didn't the guy at Delphi, that thing you studied at in
Yeah,
Georgia?
yeah.
They called him the light man, right?
Oh yeah, but he would blast people with light, and they actually photographed his body with like lightning coming out. There's a film about him.
We can do that.
But yeah, right, as a pass through if you're clean enough. But yeah, so the other theories are getting back to kind of these buckets. So one is like ancient aliens, one is current, right? That they're continuing to want to join with us. The other thing is that maybe we're sequentially and generationally having new meat sacks, right? So that, you know, the
Reincarnation, you mean?
well, no, I'm saying like they're talking about the rainbow bodies. They're talking about the
yeah, the light Merkabah.
well, no, the different generations. So
Mhm.
so like the well, like if you're born in a certain age, you're like indigo and like
Oh,
all those
right.
things, right? So that we
I
have
didn't
different
know
bodies.
about that.
Then there's this other idea that we are ETs, like you said, that we have a human body, but that I'm actually
An
another,
ET
yeah.
in a human body.
So then what are we talking about with genetics? You know, really is like, you know what I mean?
The genetics are modified to house this higher, maybe we're higher or lower, but this consciousness is not of organically from this. It didn't evolve through the apes. It descended from another level.
Right.
The bodies may have evolved or been upgraded, but the consciousness was more placed here by the Anunnaki, whoever you want to call this. So the evolving primates is what Linda Moulton Howe says, were sort of genetically manipulated to house this divine vehicle. So does that make sense?
Yeah, and some people say that some are just genetically always been human, and some of them are mixed, right?
No,
or are we all ETs?
We're all ETs. No, all humans are more or less the same genetic. We're taking off. How did that happen? We just started elevating. That was weird. No, I think this is just my theory.
Yeah, what's your theory? What's your theory?
That there were evolving primates that were came upon by ETs and said, these beings need a little quick upgrade. So 7 million years ago, one set of upgrade happened. About 200,000 years ago when civilization really began. Because before that, people, I think, wander around living in caves and all that. But suddenly, agriculture, writing, the more developed language, it sort of just burst on the scene, not less than 200,000 years ago, but it's been through cycles. And so we've been visited and upgraded. And now I think we're in another upgrade because our Earth body, this body, is being frequency shifted. Like the Earth itself is changing its frequency. So this is the Earth, like you're sitting inside the Earth. This is what we're walking around inside these Earth bodies. But since the Earth is being upgraded and we're being upgraded, and that brings in a higher frequency where we are accessing more knowledge through the receiver of the brain, because we're vibrating at a quicker rate. It's like your computer's going faster so it can go access more knowledge. If you have an old computer, it just can't pick up the new programs. But because we're being upgraded,
we're up leveling
the whole race. And some people don't want to up level. They say, no, I'd rather sit with my horse and buggy, leave me alone with a candle in a room. And we're saying, no, there's electric light, there's automobiles, there's spaceships, there's things. And other people are saying, no, all they want to do is watch the football game. And that's fine. They can do that. Nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot more exciting things about to take place and is taking place as we expand the receivership of the brain to take in more creation, more creativity, more possibilities, more joy, more love, more expanded feelings of compassion and being with each other. And I think this time of quarantine was a kind of reset, some people are saying, for checking in. It was like the world was on a spiritual retreat for a year and a half,
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, now like after the Dark Ages, there was a Renaissance, right? I think we're possibly, and the ETs may represent a kind of renaissance of new consciousness that will give us new ideas, a new history, a new cosmology, right? If nothing else, we're going to learn what's really out there in the cosmos. We're going to really learn what we're a part of. We're going to understand biology in a different way, technology, sociology. Obviously, they haven't blown themselves up in however long their history was to develop a technology that has gotten us here, whether it's interdimensional or not. So we're on the threshold of like going from one world into another. This is just my feeling, and maybe people have said that for years, but we are closer than ever to making this leap into these, as I say, new realities.
Yeah. That's so great. I do feel like we're telling ourselves a new story about ourselves.
Yes, it's
and
the new
so,
story.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, and
I just want actually, this is why I quote Deepak Chopra, because he's in a way not so into UFOs, but I heard him say this thing about a new story. And I said, Deepak, can I put that in the book? And he said, sure. And he said, he says here, somewhere here, he says something about it's time to tell a new story of humanity, and the old story of war and starvation and Holocaust and atrocities and awful things we've done to each other maybe can come to an end. And we don't have a map for a future that doesn't exist that way. So this is why we're creating a new meta universe that's made out of a new story that's unfolding as we, it's like you take a step and the path appears, and this is what's happening. There is no path through the wilderness. We're hacking our way through a new time, and no one is really sure what direction. All we know is further.
We're definitely in uncharted territory, and the people here in this call are definitely pioneers.
Isn't it exciting?
I know, because it's so exciting, because the past is prologue. We get to write how this ends.
Right.
This
The
ends
past
up.
is prologue. That's
past
good.
Is prologue.
Who did you make that up?
I don't know. I've always
like
remembered
that.
Yeah.
But no.
So we're gonna go, everybody. We're gonna go into breakout groups.
I just want to say one more thing. People fear the ETs because it's unknown. I say we only fear what we know. The unknown, we can't fear it. We're only projecting what we know into the unknown. The unknown is full of possibilities, wonder, and infinite unfoldings of something new. So there's nothing to fear about the future if you look at it with wonder and don't project what you have already known onto what you can know, because you don't want to take the known with you. Christian Murray says true freedom is freedom from the known. So
I love that.
That's where we're going.
That's
the unknown.
amazing.
This is what one of my teachers, Ramtha, would say. We're here to make known the unknown. And you know how we do that?
That's your tag phrase.
Do you know how we do it?
How?
By being creative, by doing what you're doing, by just like your art. I mean, you're adding to creation by being a creator. That is the reason for incarnation in my understanding of it.
And we get to throw a big welcome party for disclosure like this.
We get
to, wouldn't that be great? All right, so you guys, we're going to go into breakout groups right now, and we're going to discuss the whole concept of hybrids. Are you a hybrid? Are you not a hybrid? What do you think a hybrid is? How do you think DNA works? Can it be upgraded through your experiences, or how does it exactly work? You can also talk about your contact experience, and you can also ask other people for support. So we remind everybody in these breakout groups, there'll be about 4 to 5 people in your group. You have a full 5 minutes. I want to designate you guys to designate a timekeeper in the very beginning. You have a full 5 minutes to talk. If you want to get feedback from people, you can ask for it. If not, you just can share whatever you want to share with the group in that time. So we're going to continue the interview here with Alan. We're going to talk about his contact experience. We're going to talk about this consciousness, quantum physics kind of link and go into that. And then we're going to wrap up the final session with people that want to share. You know, Alan was really excited to hear people's contact experiences. So again, if you're on YouTube, come on in to the Zoom to be a part of this, you know, documentary where we share our contact experience. So right now I'm going to set up the breakout rooms. Give me a couple minutes to sort everyone out. And here we go. And if you don't want to go into breakout room tonight, no problem. Just stay with us in the main session. So, all right. So here we go. And once we get this all going, here we go. You're checking in on the YouTube,
yes,
which
go
is
ahead.
great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's just get this sorted.
Zenka,
Yes.
if we go into the breakout room, am I understanding correctly that we'll be missing out on the next part of
No, but you will be totally recorded and posted. So don't even worry about that part.
Why are they going to break to talk amongst themselves?
They're going to talk about their experiences
Well,
with
maybe
being
we
a hybrid.
should go into the breakout room. No.
No,
we're gonna go from
no,
break.
we always stay in the main
okay,
thing.
okay.
That way, hold on one second.
All right.
So
I see.
we're gonna move this to 3.
Oh, you could change people's breakout
Yeah,
rooms.
so we're gonna change so we get enough people in each group because a lot of people want to stay to listen to you. So we have 4 people in this group,
Okay.
4 people in that group. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So this is the moment. I'm going to actually scoot out of the screen because this is our big documentary where we actually ask you about your first contact experience. And then if you want to break it and then talk about one of the most powerful contact experience you have. Again, this can be remote viewing, meditation, astral travel, physical experience, but this, you know, kind of documentary is designed to support other people in their curiosity and having those experiences. So go ahead.
Okay, you're moving out of the breakout room.
Well, no, I'm moving out of the screen
this
because
one.
we want this to be a clean documentary.
Do you want me
about,
to look at the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
How's my?
You look
Okay.
great.
No, my shirt's a little wrinkled. Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Yeah. So Alan, what was your very first experience with wow, reality isn't like I thought it was, I'm interested in ETs? Like what do you remember what
I
your-
do actually
Okay.
remember. First of all, well, there are 2 different questions. Wow, reality is not what we thought is one experience, and then wow, there's ETs.
Do the ET one.
Well, the first, I do want to start with the wow, this is not real, because it started when I was like 2 years old. I could not fall asleep at night. I'm still a little restless. So I just decided to stare with my eyes closed straight ahead. And I started to like be drawn into this white light. I mean, no one told me about a white light experience. So I started to just like go in. And I also felt like after that, I'd wake up or eventually fall asleep in that experience, but wake up with a little more clarity, a little more. In that too, I noticed that. So I didn't quite put into words, but there was that sort of awareness. And then my first awareness of ETs, I think, was looking at the stars, reading science fiction, saying to my parents, I say this in the book, why is no one looking up? Why is everyone looking down? I'm looking at the stars, I'm looking at the moon, I'm saying, there's something up there. I know there is. I know there are people up there. There was an aliveness to the night sky that was really exciting to me. And I couldn't get anyone excited about that in my family. You know, they were all watching the television or doing what people do. And, you know, there was this whole other world happening right above their heads that no one was concerned about. And I was concerned about that no one, I mean, I was like, why aren't we talking about this? So I didn't think about ETs at that point, although I started to read science fiction where it's like, yeah, you know, Robert Heinlein, Ray Bradbury, I think was my favorite. I didn't like Isaac Asimov so much because anyway, they were great teachers of the ET realities. And it's like, they were right there in the book. I remember one Ray Bradbury story called I think they were called Dark and Golden Eyed, where these group of people landed on Mars and they started to farm in the Martian soil, in the red dirt, and they started to take on the characteristics of what it is to be a Martian because they were living on Mars. And there's something about the environment. Here we are in Sedona. This could be Mars, right? We're living in the red earth here, and we're people. So there's something about environment, I think, that influences consciousness that I was sort of noticing. And so my first real ET kind of vision or encounter was in a cross-country trip in 1987, the year of the harmonic convergence, if people remember that, 1987, August 16, 17. I was kind of looking for a place to kind of go for this incredible New Age holiday. And I actually met a woman in Sedona. This is 1987. It was like instant like connection. And we hung out for a couple of days, and I was going to kind of take my cross country tour, and she flew out to Oregon to meet me because we went to the country fair in Oregon. And then we were heading back east to go back. She lived in the East Coast or somewhere in the East, and I was, so we're driving all night long, and we just really tired. We stopped by this little roadside we pull off the interstate, I think Interstate 80 was near North Platte, Nebraska, kind of desolate sort of place, Western Nebraska, like on the border of Wyoming, I think. And we just pass out. We just go to sleep, and it's like we were frozen in the middle of the night. We were suspended, there was no movement. And we woke up in the same position we went to bed in, but who even remembers that? I mean, that's something you don't even think about. But for some reason, that was just what came to us. And actually, I'd seen this woman, we talked recently. I said, you remember that night we were out in the van? And she goes, yeah, the night we were frozen. I mean, this is like 30 years later, she remembered the same thing I remembered. And so, but anyway, I get back from that trip, and I noticed there's this little 4-pronged puncture mark on the back of my knee. It's like on the back of your knee. Do you ever look at the back of your knee? Do you?
Not that much, but
Never.
I've seen people with punctures that one night to the other, and they say, how did this happen?
So I didn't know if there was anything to it, but coincidentally, I started to run into people who were also talking about abductions. I was doing a videotape for this woman who was choreographing her abductions, because I was doing videotape. I was an editor and camera person. And so I wasn't so much into it at the time, but I said, hey, what do you think of this mark? And she goes, that's an abduction mark. And that just sort of freaked me out. It's like I had no context for anything that would, because it was 80s. No one were even talking about Whitley Strieber's book didn't come out till 89. And Betty and Barney Hill, which I happened to read growing up in Look magazine in 1966. I don't know why my parents got Look magazine. They got that. There was a story of Taken by Flying Saucers. It's on the covers Elizabeth Taylor, but inside there's a story of Betty and Barney Hill, a couple, interracial couple from New Hampshire, 1961. They didn't want to draw attention to themselves. They were just trying to get by, and they had this huge thing, and it got leaked out, and the government came and investigated. So anyway, that was sort of like a little key, but I didn't think it something I had experienced until I met these people. And then I met Bud Hopkins. You know who Bud Hopkins is? Bud Hopkins is the godfather of the UFO abduction scenario. He didn't name it, but he was the first to say there are people who have claimed this experience. And he's the one who turned John Mack and Whitley Strieber onto it. So Bud was doing these intruder groups in New York, and I met Bud and hung out with Bud and just felt like, all right, I guess this happened. But I didn't want to be regressed to that time, because there's a part, what's so weird about the interactions with ETs is that, and why it's traumatizing, not because they're threatening, but because they exist in a whole different mindscape than what we exist in. We can exist in a certain level, but their vibratory mental field is so different than ours. It distorts ours, and we kind of lose a sort of sense of self and consciousness. So, and I write about this in my book, we have to practice lucidity. We have to practice being aware in order to interface with these beings. And that's sort of what my practice has been. How lucid can we be in other states, in dream states in particular? And that's where these beings are mostly interfacing with us. So that was my first experience out in the van. But then about, maybe it was about a year later, I'm at my parents' house, and 1988, and I'm woken up in the middle of the night. I'm dreaming by this thing on the inside of my thigh. It's like someone had rubbed this little furry thing on the inside. Isn't that like 3 times they rub this thing on the inside, and then they give me this little, it looked like a deer. I mean, it probably screamed memories, but it had big eyes. It looked like this deer. They put it in my hands, and it's like I'm sort of still dreaming or in a dream state. I said, this is weird. So what I think it was is there was my genetics, or some of them. They take genetics from a lot of people. They're making hybrids, talking about hybrids from our genes, but they're taking some of yours and some of mine, and they're cloning them with their this is the grays we're talking about, because there's many different species, and they're cloning them with their great intelligence, because what we have in our genetic makeup is emotion. It's feeling. It's not just a trait for blue eyes or this hair. It's a capacity of feeling. Within each genetic component is a capacity to feel. That's why that story of the little girl who had a heart transplant from another little girl who was murdered was able to identify the murder, because there's something of, and that's true. That's a true story.
I've read about
in
that.
the Heart's Code, there's a book,
Yeah.
Heart's Code, that talks about this.
Yeah.
And other people, liver transplants, you take on the personality or some of the personality of the recipient, because there's a presence within the DNA itself. This is why lineages, this is why, you might be picking up on stuff that's your parents or your grandparents, because there's this passed down through the genetics to thought form realities, and they influence us. This is why family constellations is so powerful, because you can actually break the thought form patterns that are genetically tied to your DNA and start to move into a new direction if you're find yourself conditioned in the same routine that your lineage has come. So we're here to break that cycle, clean up the DNA, get rid of the emotional miasms. That's what I call them, the miasmic parts of homeopathy, is that you inherit genetic tendencies, but they're also emotional miasms that I think Bach flower remedies talk about. So we can clean that up as this body shifts to these new frequencies, these new realities, and move more into the light body, more into compassion. Dan Winter talks about the whole science of this. If you ever interviewed Dan Winter,
Yeah, he's amazing.
what a genius. I say, Dan, slow down. I lost you after the second word there. So, but there is a science to that, genetic upgrades that we're coming into. And I don't know, where was I going with that? But anyway, yes, we are here. We're hybrids. We're here. We're mutating all the time. And, life itself is a hybridization. I mean, you just think of it. It starts with a single cell, right? And that cell mutates into other cells. And I think, what, and I wrote a paper about, what drives the evolutionary factor? It's not what Darwin says. It's not chance mutation. It's more what Lamarck says, intention. It's somehow these little cells have an intention. And the other key factor Darwin didn't explain anything except adaptation. Why, animals in colder climates grow thicker fur. That's an adaptive quality, but that's not a speciation. That is not a new animal altogether. So they can't, Darwinists and neo-Darwinists like Stephen Jay Gould and all those people, because I wrote this sort of long paper book on the engines of evolution, but no one can tell you how one species becomes another. They don't know the secret of that, and because they just talked about leaps in evolution. There's a leap. Oh yeah, but you notice nothing looks like an elephant. There are things that look like beetles, that look like bugs, and there are genetic movements to that. But the thing I think that drives the engines of evolution are cosmic radiations. That's my theory. Which means, and not all man-made radiation is bad. You don't want to be around anything that humans have created that radiates. But the cosmic radiations that are coming off the sun and quasars are the force of genetic manipulations that help us upgrade to more evolved beings. That's my theory of that. So I haven't heard anyone say that. Don't take it, keep it to yourself. It's okay, you can share it, but give me credit. But no, I really do think so, because they cannot explain. So it's the old story, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Well, they don't know. They don't know what comes first, because you have to modify the egg to get the chicken, but you have to modify the chicken to get a different type of egg. So it may be a joke, but it's the oldest story in evolutionary science. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? And this has to do with the program of hybrids. So hybrids are constantly being created, and we're about to go to the next level of hybridization. We're about to become what J.J. Herta calls Homo luminatus, beings of light, because we have that in our DNA to actually shift to a higher frequency. We just don't know the codes in our brain, but it has to do with getting over your drama, getting over all the lower density things like gossiping about people. That lowers your body. Cursing, this is just smoking cigarettes, eating junk food. These things keep the body's vibration. I mean, if you're at a high consciousness, you could do anything you want, I guess. But, if we're not, then you have to really clear the cellular memory in the cleanest way possible, in the cleanest thought form realities that are possible. And just, the Taoist Chinese, the Tao Te Ching, the Tao is the way, the De is integrity. Live righteously, live with integrity, live righteous is also another word for Sadiq in Hebrew, Melchizedek, the king of the righteous, the king of the enlightened one. So righteousness and compassion and kindness, and this is what starts to shift the vibratory rate, and looking at everyone and say, I see the God within you, because I know what you're feeling. I have felt what I may not have had your experiences, but I feel your emotions. I feel what you feel. So, and if you can look at everyone and resonate with compassion, who and what they are, and feel that with them and for them, you start to, I think, accelerate the vibratory nature of the cells. It's what Ramtha used to say. This was one of his great teaching. When you own the human experience, which means you've done everything, you felt everything, not as a know-it-all, but you've been everything. You've been the poor person, you've been the rich person, you've been all those things, and you've felt the capacity of what it is to feel. Then you get off the wheel of incarnation, because you've owned the experience there. They become pearls of wisdom in the soul, and the soul says, yes, we got that. Like once you go to the depth of whatever it is, addictions or anger, or then you can own it. But you have to go to the depths of it. You have to go and feel as much as you can, and so you can own that level of human experience. And once you experience that, you never have to experience it again, because that's the only reason your soul is pushing you for those experiences, so you can have the totality of this incarnation. So, but the soul accumulates this wisdom over lifetime and lifetime. Then we're about to get off this kind of current wheel of incarnation and go to the next spiral up.
Yeah. Scoot over a little bit and we'll keep going here. So,
okay. I got away from my.
Well, yeah, we got your context story, which is great.
Okay.
So this is really great, and some people are even saying that that we're in a moment in time where it might be easier for people to complete their lessons and go up to a different level, right? So that's why it's important that we all help each other. Well, like if we are in an evolution, we are in this weird evolution shift, there may be right now in this lifetime a little bit easier for us to all, complete our lessons, right? To move it to the
Well,
next
that is
stage.
why we're here, right?
That's why we're here. But it's usually like a long process. But right now
what do you mean?
there's
What's the
well,
long process?
I have heard that there is, in this window that we're in right now, right, there is ability for people to, so let's say we've had 1,000, you and I have had 1,000 lifetimes, right? So
Okay.
it's this slow progress where we're learning, we're getting those experiences,
Mhm.
like you said, to learn to deal with the emotions,
Mhm.
to have empathy, whatever, right? But some people are saying that right now that there's an especially interesting window that will allow people to accelerate. So let's say it's going to take you 40 lifetimes. You
Right.
can get it all done in this lifetime.
Special sale
A
going
special
on.
sale going on, right? That's why it's important to help each other right now, because
Yeah, there's
this
an
is this is
acceleration.
like a leg up. Like,
Yes.
let's all do this. Like, let's be
Yes.
aware that we're
Yes.
learning our lessons. Let's be aware that
Mhm.
we can help each other, and let's do it. Let's do it
I
because
agree.
on the other side of it is something new. Like, we're going to be able to, life as we know it is going to change. Like, our abilities, our human abilities are going to change, right?
It is changing.
Changing. So I want to invite anybody to ask a question to Alan in the chat right now,
Oh, okay. Hang on.
because we have a few more minutes. We have about like 6 or so minutes left before we bring the breakout groups back. So if anyone has this, oh great, the Passus Prologues is from the Shakespeare. But is there anybody that has a question for
love that.
Alan? If not, I wanted to talk to you about, you were saying that next year you wanted to go back to the UFO mega conference to discuss a triangulation between quantum physics, consciousness, and
Well, it's a
ETs.
theory I'm actually working
So
on.
talk about that a little bit. You're
Right.
not working on it.
No, so the idea is that in quantum physics, it says that there is no innocent bystanders. The observer affects what's being observed.
Mhm.
Well, some people are saying in UFO sightings, there's a two-way connection. There's an entanglement between. Grant Cameron says you never see a UFO by accident. You see it because you were meant to see it. And so there's a consciousness entanglement within that exchange. So we're entangled with the content because people change, like the Phoenix Lights. You know what the Phoenix Light? Linka Tai. You know Linka Tai?
Mhm.
She was a doctor. She saw the Phoenix Lights. She stopped practicing medicine for like 15 years and wanted to find out everything she could about what these objects were. So there's a quantum shift that happens in consciousness also when you see these things. But the real triangulation, so we have UFOs and we have quantum physics, and they both are affecting and affected by consciousness. So I think these ships are flying in and out of space. They're popping here and popping there because there's something about non-locality, right? There's something about entanglement, that there's something about superposition. Do you know what superposition is?
Yeah.
That means superposition means that there's no collapse of the wave function. So it's like the example of if you're rolling a set of dice and it lands and it's 7, that's the result. That's just the wave function has collapsed and that's the answer. But while you're rolling the dice before they land, there's 36 possibilities of how they might land, but you're calculating the possibilities. You're not calculating the results. So you're staying in the motion, you're staying in an uncollapsed wave function, you're holding a superposition of all things, and that's how supercomputers work, or quantum computers work, based on probabilities, not results. And that's why they're able to gather so much more information, hundreds of thousand times more information than those just looking for results, because everything exists in motion, really. There is really no collapse of the wave function ultimately. And I equate the collapse of the wave function to comprehension, where, oh, I know what that is. And you know what the other end of comprehension is, or the opposite, or sort of?
What?
Apprehension. You know what apprehension means?
Oh, yeah.
You know what does that mean?
It's negatively tainting the option of the future.
It's not negative though. apprehension is the possibility of many things. It's not apprehensive, it's apprehension is the approximate awareness of things. You can apprehend things like it stays in superposition.
Interesting,
It-
interesting.
Comprehension is the collapse of the wave function. I know what that is. And apprehension, it's more like looking at a symbol as opposed to a sign. You know the difference?
Yeah,
Symbols, like you go to your emoji, you give
can mean more than one thing.
yeah, you give
The
someone a
sign.
thumbs up and it's
Right.
like, oh yeah, it doesn't quite mean yes, but it doesn't mean
Yeah,
there's
okay.
associative meanings in apprehending qualities. So we are now moving into the apprehension stage where things exist in superposition, where many possibilities can result, but not one. We don't pick one. And this is sort of, I'm getting to the UFO, is how they move from place to place, because they don't collapse the wave function into this, but are in many positions at once. In these ships in the sky, here, there, inside, outside, you know, this dimension, that dimension, is they live in superposition, in not a wave or particle duality, but in both at once. They live in the state of apprehension, in the state of symbolic reality. Does this make sense?
Well, that's what they keep saying about presence, like it being present in the moment to all possibilities. Because if you have tanked, if you're like, oh, the government's going to announce the ET thing and it's going to be negative and they're going to cause fear, then you're collapsing the wave function in that manner.
Into fear, yes. And it doesn't have to be that, because so many possibilities exist in this moment. Everything is changing and changing into each other. It's like Heraclitus said, you never step in the same river twice, right?
Mhm.
So everything is, there is, what was not the disconnected universe. There's some physicist said, every particle is moving. There are no particles. It's all wave motion. Everything is in motion.
Yeah,
The illusion is that it is a particle,
yeah.
but there is no solidity to this table. We think it is, but if you know, this is what ETs do. They can somehow separate the molecules and go through walls and windows, and they know a level of quantum physics that's only theory to us. So we need to develop our consciousness so we can, you know, everyone says we create a reality, but if we really created it, then we could move things. So we need to know the ins and outs of this operating system that we have there on our shoulders to really understand how to use consciousness in a quantum way so we can move in and out of reality and build these
And to
ships.
also decide, right? Because they're asking, you know, so what do we do with this knowledge? It's like part of it is saying,
right,
you can choose, we can choose that this whole elevation of the galactic narrative happens in X way. But the truth of the matter is that we need to keep it flexible, like you said, not to define it. And then we need to decide how we want to live it with our lives.
Well,
right?
that's the thing. What do we do with
We
this
get to
knowledge? You
decide. It's
decide
intention, right?
how it's all intention.
It's all intention.
If you walk around not smiling, you're not going to be happy, but you can change that by just smiling. It changes the physiology. Even if you don't feel like smiling, it will change you or project positive outcomes, even when you don't think there is any. You know, it's like people say you create reality, but you only create what you feel about reality, because that's really what reality is. It's emotional capacity. That's reality. You know, that's everything. So you can change how you feel. It's hard if you're stuck in a pattern, but it's also what's possible. Right?
I've heard that a lot too. Like, we're about to go into the contact stories, but
Okay.
I've heard that too. Like, people are like, the ETs are jealous of us because we're so emotional.
Well, that is
it's
why
like-
they want our genes, because they reached a dead end, because they bred
Yeah.
emotion out of them. They said, oh my God, this doesn't get us to God. This doesn't get us. This is a brick wall they come to. So they need emotion.
It's a creation force. It's an
But
engine.
feeling too. Feeling is what the soul uses to evolve. So they need the emotional capacity with the great intelligence, and this is what, the exchange, to move to a new place for them. It's a co-evolutionary process. They need what we have in abundance, which is the emotional capacity, like too much. And they're giving us technologies and greater intelligence, but it's really up to us to change our reality by changing our attitude and shifting your vibration and looking for the patterns. What do you say? I'm wrong. Some say, oh, I'm wrong. Who said?
I mean, emotions are complicated because
present, forget about all the opinions, just learn to love. We must wake up. Others will wake up when they feel safe. We need to make it safe for everyone. Alan, you're wrong.
I wonder
what I'm wrong.
What? Yeah, but so we'll just close it at this because we want to get to well, yeah, if you want to expand Babaji, especially.
Oh, Babaji.
But what
I know Babaji. He's always saying I'm wrong.
It's okay. It's good. But yeah, the thing is that emotions can take our reality or what you see into a roller coaster, right? So in a sense, it's good. It's not.
No, but there's a difference between.
But also, emotion is the engine for the manifestation that you're doing.
But
so if there's no emotion, you're not. There's no.
But there's a difference between emotion and feeling. Emotion is the drama, and feeling is something we are doing every minute.
Yeah.
We're feeling our way through reality, through ups and downs. And feeling is, emotion is, this person hates me and this and that. And it's like, that's different than what the evolutionary path is. Those are patterns that people get stuck in. And that's the problem. They get stuck on these emotional Ferris wheels, and we need to just stay into feeling whatever they want, whatever we're feeling. Each moment is an emotional reality, but it's more like feelings without dramatizing it. The drama is the difference between what I'm calling feeling and emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all emotions are feelings, but this kind of intense dramatization of self-importance is and
you don't know if it's good or bad, right? Something that you perceive as bad could be actually the best thing that ever happened to you,
but just beyond that, what are you feeling just in each moment? What are you just feeling? This is like moment to moment quality. Hey, Karen.
Experience. So I wanted people to, we only have 15 minutes, so we want to get into this contact sharing experience.
I just want to tell Karen, I'm doing something in Northern California at Marion's place. Wait, you're muted. Never mind.
I know, I saw the invite. I'm going to come.
Okay, great. I'm doing a book party in Northern California.
Nice.
Thanks. Say hello to Lex. Okay.
Thank you.
Nice. So, is there anyone here tonight that wants to share a news story, not one that's already been shared? Again, the story should be around 3 minutes or so, 3 to 4 minutes, of a contact experience that you have had. If there's no contact experience that want to be shared tonight, then we'll take your questions for Alan. So,
or even just let me know if it made sense, anything I said. Right. Okay. Well, let's hear your contact stories, though.
Yeah. So is there anybody that wants to, you can raise your hand. You do that in the reactions button here, raise hand. Okay. So if we don't have any contact experiences, does anybody want to ask Alan a question?
Like, did things make sense when I went into kind of a spiritual rap about,
okay, so we have Terry.
The soul's process of evolution. Yeah, hi, Terry.
Hello, it's Susan. That's my last name is Terry. I met you, Alan, in 2010 at Earthgate with Robert. Do you remember that?
You met with Barbara and Robert?
Yes.
Oh, I heard they're in Santa Barbara. I do.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Ernie, who owned Earthgate, just kind of left the planet recently.
Oh dear.
Yeah, good to see you again. Right? Did you know Barbara from Dr. Mills? Is that where you knew Barbara?
Yeah. From since 1980. Yes.
Right. And Victoria and Ron and all those people.
Yes. All those people. Yes, I've known them all.
Hi, good to see you. Where are you now?
I'm in North Ontario in Callender.
Oh,
yeah.
that's ways away
Yeah.
from everyone.
It's a little ways away, but it's beautiful up here and we're kind of in the bush, so it's wonderful.
I'm so happy you found Zinka.
Yeah, well, so am I. I think she is absolutely delightful. I mean, just amazing, a bright light, a
Yes.
very bright light. So I feel like I've met family, reunited with family here. So as far as encounters, I've had one that I've shared in the past, but I don't necessarily need to get into it, but
did it
I
to do
did
with
have an
that?
encounter in 71 with 5 Pleiadian ships
Where were you?
in Niagara Falls, Ontario, January 1st.
How'd you know they were Pleiadian?
I had sort of contacts with him since. There were many that re-encounters, 1982 and then again 93 in connection with Billy Mayer, and contacted him as well. And Britt Elders, who wrote the book Contact with Pleiades. Yeah. So I mean, I've had many contacts over my life, and started with a near-death experience at age 2.
Well, you look great. I mean, you look the same as when I met you.
Well,
Whenever,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
you might like my book because it's all about different people's experiences.
Well,
And
I'd love to read it. I will get it.
We put it in. I'm going to put it in again here to the chat.
because I talk about lots of range of experiences, from people being in fear to those like Darryl Anka, who's been channeling Bashar for 30 years. So there's many levels to experience that I think there's not one answer to any of this. And this
It's
is why
consciousness.
it's consciousness, but
It's all about consciousness and
that is
connection.
not-
I think everything's interrelated.
right,
in
but
another.
that's the problem with the government. They don't know how to explain this.
Well, they're hiding it because they've made some big mistakes, starting with the Greta Treaty, because they were offered help from assistance from the Pleiadians, and they told them they needed to get rid of nuclear energy and fix the Earth, and they refused it. They traded off for technology
And genetic manipulation.
and genetic manipulation of
Right,
humans.
but besides that, there are people in charge now that may not know anything about that. And
Yeah.
like it's all coming out and they don't know how to explain this. It's so
Well,
deep,
Yeah,
it's so complex. That's
it's
why
so much propaganda.
this book is a collection of 11 different essays, including John Mack. Did you ever meet John Mack?
No, I don't remember him.
You know, the Harvard psychiatrist who started to work with abductees and said these people are not crazy.
Yeah, he did a
I do remember that. Yes.
He is
Hey.
so important.
Yeah.
He died about maybe 10 years ago, but his work is still very important because he qualified these people from a psychiatric level that they are not insane. There's nothing wrong with them. So
Yes.
anyway, good to see you again.
And you too. And I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you know Sean David Morton.
Yes, how is he?
He's not well, and I think he's in jail right now. They've
No,
taken
he's
him
out of
back.
jail. No, I heard he's out of jail.
Is he back out again?
Oh, did he
okay.
go back into jail?
They took him back in May.
Because he wasn't well when he got out.
No, he has a very serious, I've been communicating with him since
Is
January.
he in jail now?
I think he is right now. I haven't heard. I've been
Why
trying to.
did they take him back into jail?
I don't know. They're just.
They
It's
were
horrible.
torturing him. It's
They
all
are torturing him. Yes, they tortured him before he got out. He was in treatment, and then
horrible.
I think May 7th or something like that, they took him back
Horrible.
while he was in his treatment. And I've been communicating with him since January. So
Give him
Yeah.
love from all of us.
I will, if I can reach him. I just haven't heard from him since, I think the beginning
He
of
didn't
May.
really do anything wrong except use the law.
Tell
mean,
the truth.
Yeah, whatever.
He's been telling the truth, and yeah, he's an amazing guy. So,
Are you in touch? I know it's a little personal conversation, but are you
Yeah,
in touch
good.
with Barbara and
oh
Robert?
yes, all the time. Yeah,
my
she,
guy, too.
yes, she's on my Peace School committee, and she's a director on our board.
All right,
And
we'll be in touch. Email me. I'll put it in the chat. Okay.
okay, I'll need your email. Yeah, send me your email.
We'll add it to-
Okay.
So we-
Okay, or no, I take over here.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
We have
Nice
a couple of
you.
questions for you, and we
Okay.
also have someone else that wants to share contact. So there's two questions. One is, what is the takeaway from the Laughlin UFO conference? What is your one takeaway?
that
We have another question.
from Danny Sheehan, who's the lawyer for Luis Elizondo, is going to this stood out, going to the Inspector General because he's representing Elizondo in a whistleblower complaint because they tried to get rid of any record that he ever worked for ATIP, the Advanced for the Pentagon Program investigating UFOs. And he's going to not just push to get Elizondo exonerated, I mean, in a way he was, but to push the Congress to look into who's behind this, who's telling the Pentagon representative that Elizondo never worked. So who's making all the decisions to keep this stuff hidden and being lied to? So Danny, if people know Danny Sheehan, did I mention it earlier?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. He is the people's lawyer. He stood up at Standing Rock, Pentagon Papers, all that. So if anyone's going to push this out there, so I think Danny Sheehan, the lawyer, is taking center stage in this whole disclosure situation. He's been investigating UFOs since Carter. He went and snuck in and got these little symbols from these top secret documents that were in the Carter files. So anyway, that stood out. We have one of us in Washington pushing for truth, and who knows how it'll play out, but I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So that was the takeaway. Look for Danny Sheehan. Look, he's the man to watch.
Okay, great. So we have MK that want to share, and also Catherine. Then we have this other question that came through: is contact in dream kind?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Contact in dream time. If it's because these are dreams that don't fade away when you wake up. These are actually not dreams at all. They're other levels of reality that you're intersecting with. And the closest we have to it is calling it a dream. Actually, that's something I do write about, how, I think do you speak Spanish? There's a word for dreaming, sueño,
Soñar.
and enseño, right?
Enseñar is to teach. Soñar is
Enseñar is to what?
To teach.
But
And
it has to do with dream, right?
Soñar is to sleep.
Enseñar.
Okay, there's two verbs. One is
Right,
soñar, which
right.
is dream, and enseñar is to teach.
But isn't there one called waking dream, like to daydream? Isn't that like a kind of anyway, it's dreams that aren't really dreams. They appear to be dreams because our language is so limited in understanding these altered states. So they are encounters that take place on the playing field that those beings really exist on.
Yeah, cool. Catherine, we have Catherine. We just published one of her stories too, about her encounter.
Oh, hey, Catherine. I know. I'm coming to New York for a big book event.
Oh,
So
all right.
get
Is it
the
gonna be
book?
on Long Island?
Yeah, maybe I'll do something. Can you organize something on Long Island for me?
Okay, sure. Tell me
Okay,
how.
I'll be in
I don't know
touch
if I
with you.
can do that, but I will.
All right, definitely. Good to see you. These are all, you got all my crew.
Nice.
Now, how did you find Zinka? She's incredible. I just ran into her in Sedona, but how did you find her?
I mean, I don't know if the libraries are open, but I do have a UFO ET experiencers group on Long Island.
Okay.
If we get that going again, if the libraries open it up to the public and stuff, maybe I can talk to them and maybe you can come and we can.
Well, we can use that place that we used last year with Mary Rodwell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was great.
Did you have a question?
Well, actually, did I have a question? I had a little story, but
Let's hear. She has some
She has contact.
and
with her. I
great
know. She's gonna
photos.
write a book.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Go ahead, Catherine, and then we have MK up next. Yeah.
okay. So I had an experience. Well, in 2016, I was having a lot of contact here, and there was this light in my tree that would show up every night, and it was a green light. And so I would go in the backyard and I would, take pictures of it, and all these things would morph and just show up in the green light in the tree. So one night I went out there and I asked it, I said, who are you? And I heard in my head, we are you in the future. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at myself, but in the future. And then I asked it, I said, I want to learn more about you. And then as I said that, all of a sudden in my camera, I could see this orange disc floating across the sky. So I started to follow it with my camera, and then all of a sudden there was more and more and more. So there was like 30 of them that flew across over my house. And in one of them, I could see a being. And it was weird because in the camera itself, like it looked smaller, it looked very small, but when I was looking at it with my eyes, the craft looked much bigger and it looked much lower than when I saw it in the video that I took. So it's like the opposite thing was happening, but geez, it's just it's very strange. But there was probably at least 30 of these salmon colored discs that flew over my house.
Where were you? Where do you live again?
I'm in Long Island, the center of Long Island.
Centerport.
No, in the center. I'm in Holtzville.
Oh, okay. I'm not far from there sometimes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like kind of by Ronkonkoma, not too far from Ronkonkoma.
Long Island is a hotspot. My early abductions as like 13, 14 were from the South Shore of Long Island.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, I guess it is. But you know, when it was happening, you know, the dogs were barking next door. I have a highway behind my house. It was crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I'm running through my backyard. I'm like, I love you guys. I love you guys. But then what I noticed, all these little things, when I looked at the video, there were all these green orbs that were flying all around. And those were actually crafts, the green orbs, because they would get to a point where they would go like this, and then they would make like a left turn or a right turn. And as they made the turn, they would like crush and turn into a disc shape. So they would go from round, going really fast, and then once they would turn, they would go into a disc shape and then make a turn.
Guess who I've been encountering who I haven't thought of?
It's
Wow.
yeah, it's really
Yeah, we don't understand that physics at all.
So that was what some guy was telling me the other day, is that they have done experiments where they've taken massive electromagnetic pulses and they see orbs. So it's almost as if the veil between the worlds, that's what passes through. It's like a window that's not that clear. It's like, but we can see the light bleeding over. So that's, you know what I mean? It's interesting because, so these are scientists, you know, really, and they're seeing these things and they're saying these orbs were not, you know, they were flying in certain configurations. They were doing certain things. We didn't know what they were. Nobody knew what they were. So it's interesting. So yeah. It's like our way to see them, even though it's not as clear as we would like it to be, but it's like there's bleed through.
Absolutely. There's so many dimensional overlaps that we're now actually developing the vision to see some of that too.
Yeah, they tell me that the technology is only going to get better and better, and we're going to be able to see more of them. So the light in my tree, I actually blew it up, and in that green light, it's so crazy. My cat's face is right above that green orb that was in my tree. So I'm like, well, how is that possible that my cat is here, but he's also in the green orb that's in my tree that I'm talking to, that I'm taking videos of? You know what I mean? It's just really, the stuff they do is crazy.
But it's training us to use more of our brain to evolve, to understand a greater physics. This is what all this phenomenon is about.
Yeah,
Hey,
they do so much with light.
Hey, Alan.
So much with light. It's incredible.
Who's
Alan.
that?
Yeah,
Who's
this
that?
is Robert. This is Robert G.
Oh wait, hold on 1 second.
1 second.
Okay, we've
One
only
second.
got a few minutes here.
Wait, Babaji, 1 second. Wait.
MK is next, and then Babaji, you can ask a question. And then we're going to close. I wanted to spend just the final minutes of you telling how to get on your Wednesday calls and all that stuff.
Great.
But so we just have a few minutes left here. But MK, I know you've been waiting for a while for your contact story, so go for it.
Okay. Hi, Alan. Hi, Zanka. First of all, I've been, for lack of better words, been really giddy watching both of you interact with each other right next to me. each other. It was amazing, and we should be having more events like this, Zenka.
Yes. Well, I really appreciate her intelligence and her mind and her quickness of awareness. You can't find that many people like this.
It's not the story that I'm gonna be sharing right now, but I just want to point out 2016, Catherine. I think I shared one of my experiences. It might be on the Exo Metaverse YouTube channel. That's around the same time I actually had one of my most recent experiences as well. If you go to my, I don't know, I'll try to share my email, and then we can, get in touch. I'll let you know what I have experienced, but it probably is in the YouTube channel. What the story that I wanted to share, I'm not sure if I've ever shared this before, and it was through, I wouldn't say dream, I call it a dream stage, because people term the thing dream, but it's not something that's not real. It's very real. We do have experiences. So in one of these experiences, let's just say, while I went to a sleep state, I woke up and I saw this rectangular prism ship that felt like Mayan, and it was a cloudy day. I'm not sure where on earth I'm right that time. I do a lot of astral projections and a lot of remote viewing as well, every now and then. But this time, I'm not sure where on earth I am. It looks like a a bronze colored rectangular prism ship, and these lightnings coming out of it. And they were using water as a means of finding these portals in the sky. So water was used as a memory device because water holds memory, and they would telepathically communicate with the water on their device and find out where they needed to go in order to find the portal in the Earth sky. And the moment they found out, there were this whirlpool of some sort that opened up in the sky, and they just went through it. But before they went, it felt like after they went through, they kind of gave a miniature version on my hand of their ship, but it was actually a device. I still have it drawn and somewhere, and I'm still trying to figure out how to actually come up with a prototype of it. But it's actually a replica of the device they used to use water as a memory to open these portals, and it creates map on top of the device using water as memory. It's all telepathic. So it was a very interesting experience that I had. I'm not sure if I've ever shared this.
Was it a particular type of water? Like, the alchemists would use heavy water, or, was there, that is really fascinating. I've never heard that. So how do they use water as a memory to open up portals to other?
Telepathically, they would communicate with the water in the device.
Right.
And they would ask the water telepathically to let them know where on the earth was the closest. It's like telling your GPS to find out where's the next intersection.
Wow.
So that's how they were telepathically communicating with this. And it would draw on their device, it would draw a map as far as kind of like a star map, but it was on an earth map.
Like what Emoto does in a way with the water having memory. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So
right. And it wasn't any specific water. It was just they didn't specify any specific type of water.
Wow.
Water, and
that's amazing.
It actually, it was amazing. And
have you written this? Why don't you write that up? Can you write that up? That like whole understanding that you just put out there? Can you write about it?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I think it would be great it's very original.
I'll
a lot of also light language stuff that he's downloaded. Incredible. Yeah, share your links, MK, in the thing for everyone.
I'm sorry, say that again. I can hear.
What's that? No, just share your links for your stuff in the chat.
Okay, yes, I'll do that. And
What- Where are you located?
I'm in Nashville,
Oh,
right,
okay.
in Tennessee.
Okay.
I've been here for 20 years, but ever since 2016, I've been having I've had experiences before, but these experiences, these deep experiences have been happening mostly since 2016.
Great. Wow, love it.
But I wanted to point out one thing about, going through the walls and everything. I did have one experience I shared, maybe not earlier. This was also one of my earliest one. I actually went through the wall, not astral projection. And it's not abduction. I never call these things abductions because, like I believe you said it, Alan, people have said in the past, the only reason they would contact you and take you to their ships is only because you probably are coming from their family and you have signed up.
I think that's true.
And even have your memory erased so you could have a fresh experience without what you've already experienced.
I believe that a lot of people don't because they like to be victims of those.
Right.
So,
right. But yeah, I mean, I actually did go through the wall,
I
through
believe
my whole body, and I was in the ship, and they resuscitated me. They were not trying to harm me. They were actually trying to get me acclimated in their ship's atmosphere.
wow.
So yeah, more knowledge, actually means that you are more respectful and you're more lovable to everything.
Beautiful.
But
Hey, thank you. Great
you,
to meet
MK.
you. I love that.
Thank you.
MK, his name is?
Yeah, MK, drop your
yeah.
your links in the
Yeah,
chat,
and
please.
you could send me an email.
I put Alan's email in the chat.
Okay, yes.
We also
Okay.
put the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Wait.
take one more final, or what we can say.
From Babaji.
Yeah, Babaji's gonna have our final word tonight. He's gonna talk about what it means to prepare to have contact, right?
Yes.
And then we're gonna close, and you can talk a little bit about where they can get on your roundtable and hear that. It's so great.
And where they can get my book if they have it.
Well,
if they want
we've
that.
shared it a couple times,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's really, like I said, when you guys are getting Alan's book, it's like voting with your,
thank you.
well, it's supporting
It
this
does
movement because
you're
it's
right.
supporting your work, but it's
No, but
also
it's-
supporting this movement because, and also leaving a review, that's because
But
more people are
also
gonna see it.
it's also something, if like many people here probably know, this is sort of like a guide for your family, thought you were crazy, said, here, just read this book. This might explain something. So it's sort of like a beginner's manual for the last 75 years of contact experiences and what the government's telling and not telling and what the range, because this is such a vast subject. There's so many different possibilities.
And it's super beautiful.
Oh, and read that. Can you read that inside page?
Yeah, so take a peek into forever, where the spirit of adventure can transcend the boundaries of belief and reveal the unknown. It awaits your discovery. And this is an anthology of the biggest, most coveted speakers that have been writing and leading, leading the charge over the years. Yeah.
Linda Moulton Howe.
We all know writing a book is like having a baby. So
it is like having a baby.
It's a big deal.
It is. It's fun. It was really fun to put this together. And it wasn't
here. Look, hybrid DNA. That happens to be what I just opened up to.
This is Mary Rodwell stuff.
Mary Rodwell. Yeah. Name some of the authors.
Well, Linda Moulton Howe is probably the top researcher of our time. The last 40 years, she's done nothing except look into so many aspects of this. Go to her Earth Files website and you'll see hundreds of files of all the different range of investigations she's done. Whitley Strieber, who is he's given us the face of the ET. I mean, the big eyes, little nose, mouth. That really stems from Whitley's Communion book. So he's foundational and he's given us the icon that's gone around the world as the ETs. I mean, there's other ETs that don't look like that, but those with the grays. Who else is in here? Grant Cameron,
the Hertogs.
Carolyn Corey, who's just did a movie called The Superhuman. Daryl Anka, the Channel for Bashar. Mary Rodwell, who's like, she calls herself the alien lady. Yeah. actually 10 of these 11 essays talk about telepathy, except Nick Pope, who's really he kicks off the whole volume with this here. This is the first sentence of the book. Here, just read that. This is Nick Pope talking about why things are kept secret.
Every story needs a villain. When it comes to the story of UFOs, the role of that villain is usually taken by the government. In this story, the government is sometimes seen as a single, monolithic entity, while other times there's the suggestion that some of the cabal exists within the government managing UFO secrets. In either case, a central belief among many UFO community is that conspiracy exists to cover up the truth about an extraterrestrial presence. I have a different perspective on all this. I served for 21 years as a civilian employee.
Anyway,
yeah.
He gives us an insider. So I thought I needed, this is, like all anthologies, you want to create a narrative. It's not like just you want to connect them. So I go from the exterior to the interior, like to eventually ending up with Carolyn Corey and how she merges with consciousness, and I throw
dream realities. Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Edgar Allan Poe.
1849. Anyway, so there's levels and levels. We go from the external nuts and bolts to the interior, how people are really transformed by this experience. So you get all of it. I thought that was the best way for the reader to draw their own conclusions. Like I said, nobody has the whole story. Okay, Babaji, it's up to you. What's going on?
Close us out.
Should we look at can we see what you look like, or you rather stay anonymous?
Please turn on your camera.
I'm ready. But I wanted to know, how did you want to start this thing? Did you want to ask me a question?
Well, what were you going to say? You had something to say.
Well, yeah, I always have something to say, but I want to know what you want to hear.
Well, I don't know anything about you, just little comments you say. So I wouldn't know where to begin. Have you had an extraterrestrial experience? Are you working for the government? Are you a CIA agent? All those things I want to know. No, what do you have to tell us about the UFO phenomena and consciousness? Okay, can we start there, or is that a place to end? So let's see what you look like and tell us what you know.
Well,
all right, you don't have to show us your face.
No. I want to tell you everything. This is the big deal. All of you are like scratching the surface. You're saying I see things in the sky. I'm having dreams.
Take us below the surface. Okay. Take us, instead of criticizing people, tell us what you know.
I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to tell you that you got to go deep. Like it's like at the bottom of the ocean, there's like a shell, and you got to go deep and get that shell to get the pearl. The rest of you are just like trying to scoop your nets in the surface, and it's not going to work for you. You got to get ready. You got to get ready to meet these people. You're all saying, "Oh, they're my family. I love them. I want to see them." You're not ready. You're not even ready for me.
Hey, Babaji, take us deep, okay? Take us deep into the bottom of the ocean. Okay, we're ready.
I'm trying to do that.
Oh, okay.
All right. I found this stuff on psychedelics. Unbelievably. I wasn't even ready for any of it. I went to San Francisco in 1967, ended up in Haight-Ashbury, and I took LSD. Now, I was working for the government. I was sent to California to learn about electronics equipment that I was going to, the knowledge I got, I was going to take back to the East Coast. I represented Syracuse Air Defense, Detroit Air Defense. I was like a missile guy, and I was flying missiles, and they wanted me to bring information from California to the East Coast. And I thought, fine, while I'm here, I might as well check out the beatniks in the North Shore. Well, lo and behold, I got on LSD. When I was under the influence of whatever, these people came to me. I didn't know if they were CIA or KGB. I didn't know what it was, but all I know is that they were in my head with me, and they were saying that they wanted to have control over my life. And I said, no. It was sort of like the body snatchers or something, I said, no way. So I said, just forget about it. Well, they bothered me for 6 months. I still didn't know who they were, the good guys or the bad guys. And I still don't know to this day. All I know is that they changed my life. Since meeting them, I have seen and talked to and touched the Dalai Lama. I have talked to and touched Sai Baba, Muktananda, so many of these guys. I mean, kissed in front of 400 people by Baba Ram Dass. My life has transformed since I met these people, and I think that they are trying to help us become better people. They want
Yes.
they want us to be saintly. They want us to quit fooling around with all this stupid stuff like alcohol and other drugs. They want us to quit eating meat. They want us to be friendly with the animals, and they want us to love each other. They are us. They are us. We are evolving into something beautiful, and they're just trying to help. Now, that's my story. If you want to know how to get to know these guys, you have to change your life. You have to start being a nice guy. And I wasn't. In those days, I really wasn't really worth a shit. Maybe. I mean, I was president of the Corvette Club in Detroit, Michigan, if that helps. I drove the fastest car on the street for 2 years, if that helps. But I mean, I've had an incredible life. But they turned it all around and told me to just drop that stuff and get real. And I've been working on it for 50 years. All I can suggest is that you take yoga lessons because you're going to need to stretch out your body so that you can take this energy. This energy that they have to give us is really, really something, but you have to get ready for it. It's like trying to put boiling water in a glass. If you put boiling water in a glass, it will shatter. If you get too much contact with these people, it will hurt you. You have to get ready for that. That's all.
How do we get ready? How do we get ready for that?
Well, I'm sure that each one of you has to do it in a different way. There's not one formula for everyone. We each one of us have to do what's best for us. Now, it may be a change in occupation. I mean, if you were working in a butcher shop, I don't think you could stay there. You'd have to, find something decent to do with your life. So you might have to change your occupation. You might have to change the friends you have. You might have to change everything. You might have to change your religion. You might have to change, I wouldn't suggest you change your sex. I think that's taking it a little bit too far. But I think the men have to become more like women and the women have to become more like men. I think we have to find some kind of a place within ourselves that's not too extreme. We have to do what the Buddha did, the middle path. I would suggest yoga. I would suggest now yoga is not just bending around. Yoga is breathing. Yoga is chanting. Yoga is doing reading scripture. There's a whole lot behind it, but we need to know more about ourselves. And I think you could find that out in. For me, it was Sanskrit, and I think there's a lot of evidence that these UFO people have something to do with Sanskrit. Mm-hmm. And Namaste is the way we greet each other. And breathing is the most important thing we can do. Fasting, learning to live on maybe fresh fruits and vegetables. There's a whole lot of things we have to do in order to get healthy enough to represent the humans on this planet. And I believe it or not, I think that this transformation, it's going to go viral. We're going to all have to get together on this and make that change. And I'd like to help you if I can in any way.
That's why we're doing this, so it does go viral.
Yeah.
You're doing an incredible job. Believe me, I can't believe Zinka. She's the most incredible person. And you too, Alan. I've never said you were wrong. Come on. There was something you said today that I thought maybe wasn't quite right. But then there's another person who told me I'm not allowed to make judgment. If that's the case, then I guess we're just going to have to forget the whole thing.
All right. Where are you located, Babaji?
I'm right here in California, and I almost came to see you in Laughlin. I was struggling with that.
I'm going to be in LA at a book event there at the Rama Institute on Lincoln and Rose. So come to that book event.
Yeah, I'll see you there. I met a man in LA that was representing the UFO people. His name was Benjamin Krim. Did you ever get a chance to interview him?
Lincoln Boulevard. Yeah, I met him. I was not very impressed because he was, I don't know, he didn't seem integrated into the higher reality. Some people loved him. I thought, okay, but I didn't feel anything original there. So, I mean, that's my judgment, but.
Well, that's how I felt about Sadhguru. Remember?
Yeah, well, We can talk about this
Yeah.
when we connect.
Yeah, no, no, well,
So
no,
I
yeah.
don't
well,
want to go too long because
No, no, I forgot we were recording and I shouldn't say anything bad about anybody. That's the first thing they told me to do. They said to be nice and to be honest. So if you, that's the two things they said to do. So let's work on it. Namaste.
And
Yeah,
namaste.
everyone's playing their part perfectly in this experience.
Right.
Even when we disagree, they're representing an important piece of the whole play, right? Of the whole thing.
They told me that it's perfect. It's perfect. You're
It
right.
is perfect.
100% perfect. Always.
All right.
Always was and always will be.
Thank you,
Are
Babaji.
in charge.
So
Thank
thanks
you, Alan.
everybody. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks, Alan, for being here. Please
Thank
check out New Realities.
Mhm.
Alan has been interviewing. He's a great interviewer. He's been interviewing, people for decades.
I actually have.
He has a Wednesday show, roundtable show, where he brings in a special guest, and then he has a bunch of other people, and it gets
Yes.
really heated, and everyone's
Yes,
discussing things.
it's
and
really
like-
fun.
it's
And
super
everyone's like
fun.
yelling at each other.
It's
and all
great.
that.
It's really
In a good
fun.
way, Babaji.
Yeah,
in a good way.
It's a good,
Right,
it's a good
right,
thing.
right.
So we encourage you to check that out. I put the New Realities YouTube on the
In LA, June 18th, I'm going to be in LA at the Rama Institute, 7 p.m.
Institute, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks for staying on. I know we went over tonight. Sorry about that. And this is going to be an interesting month for everyone as we near to the 25th or
Yes,
26th.
as the UFO disclosure really gets rolled out, right, Catherine? And
So let's
everyone,
be diplomats. Let's join Mark and
Mark's
Danny
hand.
Sheehan's diplomatic
Yes.
relations here.
This is about, yes, look at Danny Sheehan's talk. It's all about diplomatic relationships.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks
We're
everyone for being here tonight.
Great
and
to see you.
we'll let you know if we're going to be switching to Thursday starting next time.
Email
So
me the people I knew and say, thanks for saying hi. You have a good crew here. Wow.
yeah.
Very nice.
All right, you guys
Okay.
have a great night.